Hey everybody, this is RC Peck with Fearless Wealth, and what I often come back to is just a simple idea. And a simple idea doesn't mean an easy idea. It also doesn't mean a difficult idea. It just means it doesn't have a lot of moving parts, right? It's not complex. Complex or complicated. It's simple, right? Be kind. That's a simple idea, right? Don't raise your voice if you're not in control of your feelings. It's a simple idea. And on the screen, there's a price chart of SPY, the S&P 500 ETF with dividends reinvested, just one black squiggly line. And you can start to put words to this. Now, I can give commentary to it, and I can tell you that we know that this black line never fell 20% from close of market to close of market. It got close to it, but the market hasn't closed down 20%, right? Since March 6th, 2009 until today, there have been no 20% declines. Now, 20% is truly an arbitrary number other than the fact that people are tracking it. So the fact that people are tracking it, it becomes an important number, as in it's not arbitrary, but there's nothing necessarily magical about it. The stock market almost fell 20% in 2011, but it didn't. The stock market fell about 14% three times in a 9-month period-ish in 2015 and 2016, right? And then you have an almost 20% fall in 2018, but it didn't fall 20%. And so what happens is people start saying, well, this market is old, or this market needs to fall now, or this market needs to do something. And I always find that curious that we think a market has to do something, right? It's not like the sun coming up in the east each day, where it's happened for how old is the Earth? 4 billion years old. 4.5? Is it 4.5? Right? But this bull market that started in March of 2009, that could be the starting point. But why can't the starting point be 2013? That's when it broke out to new lifetime highs. Right? And so if you use a 2013 time frame and it's 2019, what is that? 5 or 6 years? Then that makes this a 6-year bull market. Right? And so there's no ministry of truth, right? Now, the Fed maybe says they're the ministry of truth, or big box advisors do, or Goldman Sachs does, or just choose any of your pick of your month newsletter. But there's no ministry of truth. Like we have to go with what's happening now. And what's happening now is we've had a Fed, and let's just talk about the US. We know that when the stock market gets close to being down 20%, the Fed steps in and does something significantly. They did it in 2011, and they just did it last year, almost a year from now. So it's only twice. It's not 22 times or 222, but we can only go with what we have. And what we know is, wow, that's so interesting. The Fed is watching this black squiggly line. Now, they probably aren't, because they think people who look at black squiggly lines are crazy and weird. And you got to study fundamentals. And fundamentals are just really opinions about information. Now, you can have an opinion about this black squiggly line, but it looks like it's going up and to the right. And I can probably drop the words "it looks like" and just say it's going up and to the right. And that's a form of stability, right? Because up and to the right means that the price is increasing. And clearly it's not just this nice linear, beautiful line that's going higher. I spent the entire day today, let's be a little bit more clear about what the entire day means, from 7:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Zero cell phone, zero computer, and everyone I was volunteering with for the day, I think there may have been 50 people, no phones allowed, right? No outside noise, no hijacking of our brain. And I just think if people were trained to look at a squiggly line and they were trained to filter out the fear mongers, the CNBCs, right, the pick of the month newsletters, right? Because many times I hear people speak and I think, whose words are those? They can't possibly be their own. They were taught to think that way. They were taught to behave that way. But if you looked at this black squiggly line without people trying to scare the heck out of you, you'd probably have a different experience of what's going on. And so the thing I want to share with you is you don't have to have anxiety and stress and overwhelm and angst and worry that comes from the stock market and the bond market and the cash market and the commodities market and the real estate market. Like, it's not, you don't need to. And if you are feeling that, just know that there is a better way. There's a way that can be eliminated. And no, it's not going to maybe happen on a blog posting, but it's difficult to keep things simple. Like, it's really difficult, right? Even our human brain wants to complicate things because it makes us feel better. And yet at the end of the day, the middle of the day, the beginning of the day, it's typically the simple things that work out best because they're hardest to break. And so as we go into the end of 2019, kind of review and go, what's the level of complication? And by the way, if all of your money is in cash, no, you don't get to say, I don't have any, it's not complicated, it's all in cash. And I may lose a lot of votes if I say this, but if someone's money has been in cash and it's been in cash because they've been scared, then they are running a very, very complicated investment approach that's based on a filter that allows in data that creates that angst and overwhelm and worry. And it's unnecessary, right? Now, if someone has money in cash because they need to pay for a large bill coming up in the next 60 days, that's different. But having 100% of your money in cash and being super, super honest with yourself, why? And no, the answer cannot be, it's in cash because I'm waiting for the crash. What if the crash doesn't arrive for another 6 years or another 10 years? It can absolutely happen. Then what? That's a decade. That's a lost decade, another lost decade. And it's hard to start. I get that. But there is a way to start. But it's not going to be from newsletters and big box advisors and books. It's got to be a different way. And parts of us already know that. So thanks, guys, for this. Thank you. We have about 3 more weeks-ish. I'm not really looking at a calendar right now. But really think about what you want your level of anxiety or stress to be like in 2020. Because it doesn't have to be one of worry and concern. You can know that you'll have enough. Thanks, guys, for being in my world. Thank you for listening to this. And this is just another step in helping you protect your portfolio, your sleep, your energy level, your loved ones, your choices, and your wealth. Until next time, this is RC Peck.